story of the Buddha continued. Devadatta opposes the Buddha. Of all the disciples of the Buddha, Ananda, his cousin, was the most devoted to him. So the Buddha selected him to be his close attendant. Another of the Buddha's cousins also became a monk. His name was Devadatta, but he was envious of the Buddha and competed with him, trying to take over the leadership. Devadatta was very conceited and was jealous of the two chief disciples of the Buddha. So he left the Sangha and made friends with the crown prince Ajatasattu, son of King Bimbisara. The prince built a private monastery for Devadatta. Devadatta then persuaded the prince to kill his father, King Bimbisara, and make himself king. The prince followed Devadatta's evil scheme and starved his father to death so he could become king sooner. Now, Devadatta felt very powerful because the new king was his friend and supporter. At this time, he decided to kill the Buddha. One evening, while the Buddha was walking past a rocky hill, Devadatta pushed a huge stone down the hillside, intending to kill the Buddha. But the rock suddenly broke into many pieces, and only one sharp piece hit the Buddha on his foot. The Buddha returned to the monastery and was treated by the famous physician Jivaka. Although his evil plot had failed, Devadatta tried to kill the Buddha again. When the Buddha was on his daily alms round at Rajagaha, Devadatta set loose a wild elephant. But as the wild elephant ran towards the Buddha, it became calm because of the Buddha's enormous loving kindness. After this incident, Devadatta gave up trying to kill the Buddha, but he still wanted to break up the Sangha. To impress the other monks and nuns and disrupt the Sangha, Devadatta asked the Buddha to make stricter rules of conduct for the Sangha. He asked that monks not be allowed to sleep in houses or eat any meat, but the Buddha refused Devadatta's proposal. He said if some monks prefer to sleep in the open or not eat meat, they are free to do so. But if they do not wish to live this way, they do not have to. Finally, the Buddha said, Devadatta, if you try to break up the Sangha, you will reap the evil fruits. Devadatta ignored the Buddha's warning, led away a group of monks, and made himself their leader. One day, when Devadatta was asleep, the Buddha's chief disciple, Sariputta, came and warned the runaway monks about the consequences of evil actions. These monks realized their mistake and returned to the Buddha. When Devadatta woke up, he was so angry that he became ill. Eventually, he began to regret his actions, and he asked his servants to take him to see the Buddha. But he died unexpectedly on the way there. Daily alms round and helping to solve people's problems. The Buddha taught and converted people for 45 years. He traveled to different kingdoms in India, always on foot. During the rainy seasons, he stayed at monasteries built for him and the Sangha by different lay supporters. The places the Buddha stayed at most often were Veluvana near Rajagaha and Jetavana near Savatthi. During all these years, the Buddha worked hard every day to spread the teachings. The Buddha usually got up before sunrise, took a bath, and then contemplated on whom to teach. When he found someone ready to understand and accept the teaching, he would go and teach that person the same day. After sunrise, the Buddha went to ask for food from people in the neighborhood. Sometimes he went alone, and sometimes with the other monks. Some people also invited him to their homes to accept offerings. After the meal, he taught them the Dharma. Then he returned to the monastery. Back at the monastery, the Buddha rested quietly in the hall, under a tree, or in his room, waiting for his disciples to return from their alms round. When all the monks and nuns had assembled in the main hall, he gave a Dharma talk or just encouraged them to practice the Dharma. Some monks also asked him for personal instructions for their Dharma practice. The Buddha then considered their natures and gave to each of them the individual advice that suited them best. In the summertime, the people from the neighborhood used to visit him in the evenings. Some came to offer him gifts, others to hear his teachings. The Buddha taught them the Dharma using skillful language so that everyone would benefit by understanding thoroughly. After the Dharma talk, everyone would feel happy and satisfied. When the people left, the Buddha usually took a bath. Then he would meditate for some time. Once the meditation session was over, the Buddha would instruct monks who had came from other places. He helped them to understand the difficult parts of the Dharma, and so made them very happy. At sunset, the Buddha usually went for a walk to refresh himself. After this, he would again give talks to his monks. Late at night, distinguished people such as kings came for advice and instruction in the Dharma. Finally, the Buddha went to sleep, usually for 4 hours only. He slept on his right side and woke up before sunrise. Then he entered into deep meditation to explore the natures of his audience for that day. The Buddha always worked very hard in propagating the Dharma. When he was not traveling, he spent time not only explaining the Dharma, but also in helping people to solve their daily problems. He was always willing to help people from any station in life, whether it was a housewife, a farmer, or just somebody in need of help. The Buddha was never reluctant to answer difficult questions or explain complicated problems. He never felt irritated by the person asking questions and always was able to answer correctly. The Buddha always explained the Dharma in a way that was most suited to the natures of his listeners. He welcomed all people. Many who doubted him at first became convinced of the truth of his teaching. They then became his loyal disciples.